This is your place for news, talk, and information, your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Hey, welcome back to the show, Total Financial Solutions, Safer Money Hour. I'm Eric Falvey along with Jeff Gerard, talking about your family's finances, of course, getting out of debt, managing your money, and planning for your future. We all have different, financial objectives, and we plot, and we plan, and we create, and we build, and, sometimes your planning in your savings account, as I heard recently, was a tissue box. For other people, it's your ashtray, and especially when you're young, right? If I could get 2 tacos or a good hamburger, and that was our Friday night date night, and when you're 20 years old, 19, 20 years old, and you're saying, man, we could actually go into college, right? I remember those days, and I would have early morning swim practice because I was on the swim team in high school and in college. Early morning swim practice. But then I didn't have a class for 3 hours, so I would go back to my truck and I'd sleep in the back of my pickup. And then or study, but usually I'd sleep because it was better than studying. And then you say, okay, well, gosh, do I have enough money for a small pizza? Or can I get, because you're starving, or can I go somewhere and take my girlfriend on a date? You do your best. Well, here's the problem. You've played a game. You've played by a set of rules. You've worked, you scrimped, you're saved, you got that job with that company or that industry or the government agency, and suddenly the pension that they've promised you freezes and something changes. Jeff, we've seen this. In fact, we have a couple of clients right now who are in the middle of their pension freezing. But let me share something with you. I don't even know if I shared this with you, Jeff, yet. But okay. Recently I was on a trip, and I am talking to the pilot. The plane was late. We got stuck on the ground for 3 hours. 2 hours inside the terminal. 3 hours inside the plane. I watched 2 movies.
That's a long time.
Waiting to push back from the gate.
Sheesh.
So finally the pilot had to leave because he's past his time. They're only allowed certain times. So anyway, I happened to run into him in the hallway, and I talked to him for a minute. I said, and it was United Airlines. I said, we had a United Airlines pilot as a client. And many years ago when they froze the pensions, they went to him and said, he was earning $10,000 a month, was his pension. It's a huge pension, but these guys make a lot of money. They do big things. And 2 years after that, after he retired, his pension reduced to $4,000 a month.
Incredible.
$4,000 a month. And I said, so I feel sorry for you guys working hard. And you know what he said? He goes, that's nothing. This is exactly what he said. He goes, that's nothing. Let me tell you about mine. My pension was $11,000 a month. And we got word that it's $1,169. Oh. $11,000 a month is what this 64-year-old guy, because today you can retire at 65 as a pilot. Back then it was age 60, you were forced. 65 years, he's 64 years old. He was counting on $11,000 a month, and now it's just under $2,000. What can you do? Can you go backwards and say, well, I guess I'm going to go work for the city, or I guess I'm going to stay in the military and fly and get a pension from the military, or I guess, right? You're stuck. You're like, oops, I guess I turned left when I should have gone right. Well, what do you do? So folks, what do you do when your pension freezes over? I need you to plan for that occasion, because if you have a pension in the state of California, you have to expect, just like that it's going to be sunny someday in the next 3 weeks. I don't know when. I know it's going to rain somewhere in the next year, probably, right? I don't know when it's going to happen, but I expect it to happen.
Yep.
You need to expect that your pension is going to change the rules. It has to. Teachers, government workers, some companies, city, state, county, federal, it does not matter. In fact, I saw an article today where it actually said, literally it was today's article, and it said the state government, city, county pensions, the ones that are in financial trouble, and they mentioned some Connecticut, Illinois, California, they have to file bankruptcy and start over. That's the only way they're going to survive. We have gone so long where politicians promise so much to the unions and others for their vote. and never planned on the other side. In other words, that's nice. You can promise things and say you're going to do it, but there's consequences on the other side. And they never did that. They just did the one side of the equation. So who has to pay those bills? You, the taxpayer. And here's what I said, Jeff, for years. Look, businesses can and do and are leaving. Done. State of California.
Right.
Especially ones that are larger and employing lots of people. Number two, retirees that do not take a job but spend the money here. We want those people, right? Because they have income, retirement income. Those people are leaving. And number three, the only thing left here that cannot be moved is the real estate. The homes, the businesses, the land, right? The land and the commercial and residential real estate. Mm-hmm. So in my opinion, that's the only thing that they're going to be able to tax at a significant rate, because high-waged employees are leaving, many of them. Businesses are leaving, so you can't tax that evil corporation. You can call them evil all day long. They're going to go like, okay, bye. Right? They'll go to Florida. They'll go to Texas. They'll go to Nevada. They'll go somewhere. Especially today when you have FedEx and fax machines and emails and scanners and FaceTime and Skype. Those things all make it so you don't even have to be in the same zip code, right? Sure. So what I'm saying is you need to plan and prepare that your pension may make some changes, maybe even freeze.
Well, and to your point, Arif, the pension is not your asset as the individual. It belongs to the entity or the corporation or the company that you work for. And we've seen this time and again where people have come in and they've bought companies just because they had a healthy endowment, if you will, or a big bank account sitting there, and they can do whatever they want with it. You know, just like a United Airlines pilot or any other for that matter that's seen a massive reduction. And that's a very tragic story that you told. You know, I thought up to this point a 60% pay cut was going to top it all. 90% pay cut? I mean, come on, how does that even count? I mean, just keep it at that point. But back to what you were saying earlier, you know, when you were just, you know, getting a little bit of sleep here and there and the little bit of money you had went to today's need and you weren't really maybe saving that money that you could have been. I still cringe at some of the stories you've told me of clients that have just depended 100% on their company pension, whether it's the state of California or a big government agency. It doesn't matter. If you have a place that you can put money in from your paycheck into a retirement account that you call yours, that, my friends, is the key to mitigating that risk of your company taking away your future income. That's the only way you're going to do it, is by you saving on your own. Now, the company gives you a vehicle. They say, here's a 401k or a TSP, or, you know, they give it some fancy name or whatever it is, and it's up to you to put the money in. They even dangle a carrot and they say, hey, if you put money in, we're going to put money in as well. But if you don't, they don't. So now the risk has really transferred to you. They may have a pension, but they may not. So, I mean, really what you have to do is take a serious look at the way you're earning your money, what you're spending it on, and can you park some of that off to the side? Because putting 100% of your eggs in one basket that's a losing bet, right? It may work, but 30 years from now, I mean, you're expecting a company to have the same outlook on its employees and the same amount of financial health. I mean, hey, maybe it's going to be better than it is today. But certainly that's a long time to put 100% of your financial health and wealth in one place. I just think it's something you should take a serious second look at. So, all that to say, how hard is it? It's so simple. You go into your HR or whoever handles the retirement plan. You say, hey, I want to start putting money into my retirement plan. How do I do that? How much can I put in? Do you guys have a match? I mean, that's really how simple it is. And
you know what you're going to see is a company called the Pension Benefit Guarantee Corporation. Not government agency, Pension Benefit Guarantee Corporation, which is what? An insurance company, a protector of your pension. But it cannot give these healthy payments. So what it does is it has a minimum. It's usually $1,000 to $3,000 if your pension was $7,000 or $8,000 or $9,000 or $10,000 a month. Maybe you would get $2,500 or $3,500. It's often a small fraction of what you can expect in your pension. So, yes, it's something. We had somebody recently whose pension is now it was forfeited. It was a defense contractor out in the Antelope Valley. And so they were expecting a significant pension. They were expecting $3,000 or $4,000 a month. And they're getting about $380, I think, is the number per month.
Incredible.
Yeah, so that's the guarantee. That's the minimum. It's
Right.
the insurance company saying, we'll cover that. Sometimes people will get $1,300, $1,400 a month, but for 5 years or 10 years. Right at the time when you can't work anymore and your knees don't work and your hips don't work and you're now going to be forced to run out of money. So here are some things that you can do. Realize this, first of all. There's a soft freeze and a hard freeze with the pension. Sometimes pension plans will say, listen, for all new hires, we're not going to allow them to participate anymore. So they're done. They're not part of the plan anymore. Just those that are already in it, and we're going to freeze the benefits. So whatever it is today, it's going to stay the same minus a small cost of living increase, maybe 2 or 3% a year. It'll be something. It'll be a few dollars, but nothing significant, nothing huge. That's okay. That's just called a soft freeze. Even if you leave the company, fine. So what the company does is it says, listen, we were going to be putting in these dollars for the other employees, but now what we're going to do is we're going to give you a much healthier profit sharing or a much healthier match into your retirement account. If you manage that properly, you win. You're good. You're healthy.
Right. Yep.
If those of you that don't manage that properly, then you may end up with a very limited options when it comes to retirement. So they take the risk from the company and move it over to you. Now, I actually think that's the right thing to do because I don't want a company that's good at making cars also try to understand my pension, or a company that's good at making widgets or cell phones and say, oh, by the way, give me health insurance, manage my retirement plan. No. You make cell phones or cars. Let the managed people who handle retirement, or health insurance handle health insurance. But the problem is they never came and taught you how to handle it. So they did one part of it by saying we're out of it, but now you have somebody who is ignorant to the situation, the system, the risks, the fees, the downfalls, and they just flip them into, okay, look, I've used this example, so some of you with teenagers out there, you'll know exactly what I mean. Think of it like this. Imagine for a minute you have a teenager, 16 years old, they just got their license yesterday. In fact, their picture is on the card. It's their name, and it says driver's license. They passed a test, both written and physical. Would you give that same kid a brand new Ferrari or Lamborghini with all that power, with the value and the cost of everything behind it, and say, okay, young man, young woman, here's the keys? How quickly are they going to have that thing crashed somewhere, up against a wall or a tree or something? But wait, it's an automobile. That license said they could drive it. The problem flips in here because you give a power to somebody with very limited knowledge. Now let that person drive for the next 5 years, teach them a couple of courses on how to be a race car type driver and the skills and the details, and well, now give them a fancy car. Much less likely to crash it. It's the same thing. You give somebody who's never been able to handle $1,000 in their life or a paycheck of $50,000 a year, and you give them $300,000 in a 401k or in a pension, and how quickly are they going to mismanage that money? For many, it's quite often and quite quickly. So there's some challenges there that I want you to be paying attention to. One of those is simple. What if you are going to be responsible for a significant part of your retirement income? Do you have the skill set? Do you know who has the skill set? Maybe it's not you. Maybe it's somebody else. But do you know how to hire that person and say, can you help me? Because this is your area of expertise. Manage that. That really, I think, is not necessarily knowing it, but knowing how to find the people that know it.
Well, that's a big deal because the people that eat, sleep, and breathe retirement planning or how to set people up for income for life, those are the ones that you want to be in your corner, because you may not think you're worthy of a financial team, right? But you need at least one other person that is savvy in this area and has experience, not someone just has been looking at this stuff for 10 minutes, but someone that is tried and true has been there and has done this for other folks. I think that's important because, we can all hear stories of, oh, hey, call my stockbroker or call my financial guy. They made me, X percentage and it's double digits and my accounts go up every year. Okay, that's fantastic. But what's your exit strategy? What does it look like for you in retirement with that person in your corner? Maybe they're going to do a fantastic job, but who knows how to guarantee that your money will be there for the rest of your life? I think that's the question to answer.
Yes, and what you want to do is have this team of people, if you will, and you're going to have to learn how to play well with others and deal with the team component where you're going to sit down and have your CPA or your tax preparer, you might have your stockbroker, you might have your retirement specialist, because those two people are not the same. You understand that?
Right.
Stockbroker handles risk money. Their job as a, quote, financial planner is not to plan for your income and your retirement. They're usually going to be good at handling the risk money, not the planning and the retirement and the safer. They're kind of two different people. But you're also going to need somebody who's going to have your best interests at heart. And usually it's you or your spouse. And they'll sit down and you kind of put it all together and you'll say, here's my goals. Can it happen? What do you think, CPA? What do you think, attorney? What do you think, financial planner, retirement expert? Right? Each of those people will give their 2 cents, worth of and point of view. That's where your skill set needs to come in, is the judgment in being around the people that know their business, not going back to school and becoming an expert in 16 other fields. So that's my opinion. Take it as my component here of your life. We'll be back in just a minute. What happens if your pension freezes or terminates altogether? What are your options? We'll cover that and a lot more when we come back. As we finish up this hour of the program, I'm Arif Halaby, and that's Jeff Gerard on Total Financial Solutions Safer Money Hour on your hometown station. Yes. Hey, welcome back to the show, Total Financial Solutions Safer Money Hour. I'm Arif Halaby along with Jeff Gerard. All right, your pension, most of you in your financial life wanted a pension. You tried for a pension. You listened to your parents, especially if your dad or mom had one, or you noticed that their life is much easier in retirement because they're getting that paycheck come heck or high water on the first of every month. And you say, I'm going to work for that company, that job, that place that gives me a pension for the rest of my life after 20, 30, 40 years of service, whatever it is. Maybe it's a union. If you work for the union and retire at 35 years on the job, and so you're 60 years old, whatever the formula is. But I'm here to tell you that a lot of pensions are experiencing some changes, and I think it's going to get worse before it ever gets better. Meaning I think there are going to be more changes, certainly those of a significant level. And here's what I mean by that. There's a soft freeze that can happen with your pension. That means no new employees are part of the pension system. If you have it, you have it. If you've already been there 15 years or 20 years and you're vested, it's over. You're not going to continue to get the growth. All that extra money that the company would have put towards your pension, they're now going to give you in a 401k, but they can also change their mind. They can give it to you and take it away from you. So they do that, right? That's exciting. So expect that to happen sometimes. But in addition to all of that, if you're a new employee, you just get a 401k. You just get a matching plan, and that is it. No pension. Other employees down the hall, next to you in the cubicle, they may have one, but you don't. That's called a soft freeze. What is a hard freeze?
Well, that's where they're basically going to shut down the whole show. And even the people with the existing pension, they don't get to see that appreciation. It's basically, this is the clock stopping now. It's kind of like musical chairs, right? If you don't have a seat, when the music stops, you basically have to stand there, right? So this pension is going to freeze and not continue to grow the way it normally would under normal healthy conditions. And this is really kind of like the writing on the wall of maybe either a company in distress or not seeing as much profit as it possibly could or what it planned on. So a big part of this is going to be where they're probably going to offer you a buyout. Or they're going to say, look, I don't care what age you are right now, but we are not going to let you see these benefits until you are X age. Maybe it's 60 or age 65. And it's basically non-existent in your financial life. You may be able to count on it later, but I can almost promise you that they're going to say, look, we're not going to pay you monthly for the rest of your life. We're just going to give you a lump sum buyout and maybe even let you do it early, maybe at age 50 or something like that. So expect some of those changes. There's no real hard and fast rule for it, but just count on it changing and not looking like a pension anymore.
Sometimes pensions are terminated altogether. That means they are gone. So what does that mean for you? That means that the company says, we are in default. Because if a company is part of the Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation, it's an insurance company that has rules. It says you have to maintain a certain amount of dollars in there. You have to invest it a particular way. It has to grow a particular amount each year, a minimum or an average over time. And if you're not able to maintain that for a period of time, the pension is now in default. And if it's in default, it goes to the Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation, which means it's now a part of their asset. The company is no longer involved. It's now managed by this insurance company, and their job is to decide how much each person receives. And I can promise you it's very little compared to what you thought. It is usually going to be a reduction of 60, 70, or 80% or more. That means it is not very much compared to what you planned. And why that's important is sometimes they will say, here is a buyout, take your money and leave, but you're going to get pennies on the dollar, or we're just going to cancel your pension altogether and you're going to receive $1,000 a month instead of $6,000 for a period of 2 years, 5 years, 7 years. And there's a window of time in which the insurance, just like disability insurance, you buy it for a period of time, 5 years or whatever it might be. So the Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation has a plan. They say we're going to be able to give you this money for a period of time, and then that's it. So you need to ask your employer for a report. How healthy is this? What does it look like? Does it look like something that we can continue through my retirement years? Because the last thing I want to be is 76 years old and told, okay, your pension's over, and
Right.
have to only live on Social Security, and that's not enough. So for a lot of people, if a pension is terminated, and it's a worst case scenario, it doesn't happen very often, but it does happen, especially to businesses that overpromised or didn't manage the money well, whatever it might be. We have seen this happen where cities and counties have filed bankruptcy or gone into default, like Mammoth Lakes, Stockton, California, San Bernardino, the state of Rhode Island. Currently, the state of Illinois, full default, right? Oh, no, it's not, Arif. They just came to a balanced budget. Doesn't exist. It is in default. Look at their credit rating, dropped through the floor. Ask any sane person in the industry if they're going to lend the state of Illinois any money. Not going to happen. State of California has a greater tax base, but we are in default. They go to each employer every year, and they say, for the last 2 years now, and they find me as an employer and any other employer, and if you work for somebody, your employer is paying it. It's about $175 this year. Last year was $150 per employee. They are going to be in default again next year. And as employers are leaving the state, they will probably have to raise it because they still need the money. They have overpromised. Look at the wages of the government workers. The jobs that used to be, well, it doesn't pay very much, but at least it's a secure place. They won't lay you off.
Yep.
Or at least they have some benefits. So they had great benefits and a great pension, but now they've raised the pay. So now you have government employees that are getting such sweet benefits compared to those in the private sector of a similar job that the system is now just running very dry. So you might say, gosh, Arif, I know those people, but gosh, my husband works really hard. I never said anybody doesn't work hard. Not at all. Oh, you don't understand. We deserve it. You know how much I dedicated and sacrificed and gave up. And I'm not saying that. Look, 1 + 1 is 2, whether you're a lazy son of a gun or whether you work your butt off for free. For giving overtime extra dollars and never put in. I get it, but 1 + 1 is still 2. You can cry, you can whine, you can stomp your foot. I got it. Carry a sign. And 1 + 1 is still 2. It doesn't matter what you believe, how passionate. Oh, he's very passionate about how hard and dedicated. Teachers are very, they're the future. Yeah, and 1 + 1 is 2. I agree with you on all that. But the system has to be managed better. And these son-of-a-gun administrators who make all the money and who take all the profits, you've got to watch them. If you are expecting a pension, you need to double-check the people that are watching the pension, because it's not going to be what you think it is, most likely. There are a few. If you work for North Carolina or a couple cities in Texas, they're doing fine. But a lot of people are not. Hey, thanks for listening. I'm Arif Halaby, and that's Jeff Gerard. We're talking about your pension. There's a way for you to go to our website, tfswealth.com. TFS stands for Total Financial Solutions. Imagine that. tfswealth.com. Click on Retirement Review. Retirement Review on tfswealth.com. Thanks for listening. Arif Halaby, Jeff Gerard on Hometown Station.